Hey, kia ora, Helen Brahms here, coming to you live from Sun City in Arizona. I have to make this quick because it's getting pretty dark out there pretty quickly right now. Although the sun's just on top of the houses, so I don't want to be out walking in the dark with Sophie. But anyway, which means I'm probably gonna have to move her walk to like 5:30 for a while. Yeah, maybe I'll have to do that. Hi, how are you? How was your Shake It Up Saturday? Was it super fantastic and sparkling? Mine was mind blowing, and super fantastic and sparkling as well. If you caught the morning show, if you caught the morning episode, you would have seen that I was at a webinar this morning, looking a little sparkly. Yeah, and that, sorry, my mind is just like right now. But this morning was a really, really great workshop. It was amazing. Absolutely loved it. Had a fantastic time. And I've got my homework already done for that. Has been done, completed, sent off. I've been working on my other homework for my other project that I'm working on right now. So I have had a very intense day of shaking up in the morning with the 6-minute webinar that we did. I've been working on homework today, and I managed to squeeze in a nap. So I am on fire because I needed the brain cells energized a little bit. So I took a quick nap, like a little 2-hour nap, and then got up and got some homework done. Homework before nap, more homework. So it's been an awesome day, and now we're going to go out for a nice evening stroll. It's only like 80 degrees outside right now, so it is just like the perfect walking weather. I prefer it a little cooler, but I can deal with the temperature in the 80s. That's okay. But, what did you get up to today that shook up your day? What did you do today that was different to what you normally do on a Saturday? Because when we interrupt the pattern, that's when the creativity starts coming in. That's when we start having a lot more, not a lot more fun, but yeah, I have a lot more fun when I interrupt my pattern. When my day gets interrupted, I end up having more fun. I know that sounds weird, but I do. So, what's out there? And your tell a story question today is what was your grandmother's signature dish? And if you didn't have a grandmother around growing up, then maybe you had a mother, an aunt, or somebody who had a signature dish that you really, really liked. I mean, I couldn't even think what my grandmother's signature dish was. Whenever we were at her place, she made all sorts of amazing meals, but I remember her teaching me to bake. We used to bake biscuits, or cookies as you guys call them, and we made chocolate chip cookies, and we made peanut cookies and hokey pokey cookies, and those are really, really good and full of lots of sugar, great for kids to go running around in the backyard. And then I was trying to think that was my dad's mum. I was trying to think what was my mother's mum? Hers was roast as well, because a lot of times we're over there, it was like roast meals at either places. But yeah, but Nana didn't bake as much as Grandma did. So Grandma did all the baking. I don't recall Nana doing a lot of baking when I was growing up. Although I remember her teaching Marie and I how to make fudge. That was funny. That was hilarious. Because we got all the way through the recipe and everything else. And then at the last moment before we were about to start pouring the fudge mixture into the pan to let it set and everything, we realized we'd never put any eggs in there. So then we had to go beat the eggs and put them in there. And so it kind of ended up being a little crunchier than it should have. But hey, it was a fun experience. I enjoyed spending time in the kitchen with my grandmothers when I was able to. Even some of my I just enjoyed spending time in the kitchen with them, especially with Grandma, because she always had these really cool stories to tell. She was in the Women's Auxiliary Air Force during World War II, and so she had some amazing stories to tell. And her most favorite one to tell was, and she played field hockey. I've learned to call it field hockey over here, because over here in the States, hockey is another term. It's done on ice on skates. It's very fast, looks dangerous, looks fun, but it's very different. In New Zealand, we play hockey. And when we talk about hockey, it is field hockey, on the grass, running around with sticks and whacking little balls around. And my grandmother was the goalkeeper for the Women's Auxiliary Air Force field hockey team. And she's always maintained that my dad was the only male to ever play on the Women's Auxiliary Air Force hockey team. And that's because, remember this, she was a goalie. This is back in 1940. It would have been the end of 1944. 43. Would have been the end of 1943. So back in the 40s, she was the goalie, and she was 8 months pregnant with my dad when she last played field hockey. And that's how my dad got to be the only male on the team. But she had wonderful stories, amazing stories, and getting up in the morning, early mornings to go and get breakfast started and everything else. And she got up one morning and she's doing her normal opening of the mess hall, so the other cooks can come in and they can get the breakfast prepared before the troops come in and all that sort of thing. And she's busy doing her morning routine. She's doing her morning routine. She had her daily method of operations that she would do every morning in the mess hall. And so she's going around and she's doing all of this and turning on all the lights and the cookers and everything else, getting everything set up to go, and starts her food prep and all of that. And she's busy into her routine. And all of a sudden she looks up and goes, "Where is everybody?" And then somebody starts coming in and she's telling them that they're late. And they go, "No, it's Saturday." And on Saturday they opened a whole hour later. And so here's my grandmother up a whole hour earlier than she needed to be, gets everything up and going and ready to go for and doing her into her routine, doing her prep work and all of that. So she's now an hour ahead of everybody else. And then everybody starts coming in and starts doing their prep work and getting breakfast out. So that was one of the things that she says, you always got to be conscious of what time it is, especially when you got to get up early to get things done. Make sure it's the right day of the week that you're supposed to be on at that time. But yeah, she had story after story after story. And then she would also tell us stories about when they would have their reunions, because over the years they would have their reunions. And she would fly off to Australia for a reunion, some other part of New Zealand for a reunion. They got to Fiji one year or something. Wherever they were having their reunion that year, they always had a reunion every year. They would go off, and of course their numbers started dwindling over the years, the older that they got. But she would always go off to the reunions and things, and she would come back and tell the stories of the reunions. And of course it would then refresh her memory of some of the things that happened during their war days and everything else. And so we'd come back and hear those stories too. But I loved working in the kitchen with my grandmother just to hear the stories. Yes, she taught me how to crack 2 eggs at once and do the whole baking thing with that, and taught me different skills when it comes to baking. But I can bake, but nowhere near as good as my grandmother could bake, or that I remember my grandmother could bake, because she's been gone a few years. But and it's been a long time since I was in the kitchen with her, but I always had a good fun in the kitchen with her and loved her stories. So, maybe your grandmother didn't have a signature dish. Maybe it was just the fact you got to spend time with her in the kitchen and help her prepare meals. Maybe that's what it is. So write about those stories. Write them down. Get them down. Because it's keeping their memories alive too, especially if they're not around anymore. It's keeping their memories alive, and that's what helps. That's what keeps them alive and makes them seem more real. So when you're doing your genealogy research and stuff, you actually have the story behind the person, not just a name with a birth date, a marriage date, and a death date. And here's their kids. Yes, you can see those family trees where they've got the names across, they've got all those lines going everywhere, and then they've got the birth year and the death year is what you see on most of them. And it's not until you get into the actual profile you see the other details, like when they were married, what census reports, where they were living on certain years when the census was taken. The genealogy side of it comes in when we bring the stories with the people. So not just the facts and figures, which is what family tree research is about. We bring in the genealogy side, which is the stories, and it brings them all together so that you actually get to meet these people in history rather than just seeing them as a name and a birth date and a death date. So think about that. Think about the story. So for keeping those people alive and making their lives more full instead of just being a name with a birth and a death date. So that's it from me for today. I am going to go off, take the pup for a walk. And I said that and she didn't move. Wow. Usually if I talk about taking the DOG for WALK, there she goes. The head comes up. Love it. Anyway, go have a super fantastic sparkling evening. We'll catch you guys back here tomorrow morning. Or she might be here tomorrow morning because it's Sunday tomorrow, which means we'll be somewhere out in the car. Our first stop of the day will be to the dog park. Let Zeph go and burn off some energy, and maybe she can have a playmate come play. We tried to get her playmate to come play last week, but they ended up having to go somewhere else for the day, so we didn't get to meet up with them. So hopefully we'll be able to meet up with them tomorrow. But anyway, so if you want to know if we meet up with her play date tomorrow, tune in. We'll catch you guys tomorrow morning. I have no idea what time we'll be out and about because it's Sunday and we turn the alarm clock off on Sundays. Anyway, go have a super fantastic sparkling evening. We'll catch you bright and early tomorrow morning for, I just said Sunday, Serenity Sunday. That's it, Serenity Sunday. Oh, you want to go for your, get my shoes? Can you please go and get my shoes? She just stands here and looks at me. For the last however long I've had her, almost 2 years, been telling her to get my shoes, and she still hasn't figured that one out. Yet other times I will give her a command once and she'll do it. Obviously, she doesn't like fetching shoes. Anyway, have a super fantastic sparkling evening. Catch you guys back here tomorrow morning for Serenity Sunday. Hei konera.